17 Spine-chilling Walmart horror stories. Discover the terrifying secrets hidden in the aisles. Lisa shuffled through the brightly lit aisles of Walmart, the fluorescent lights above humming with an eerie resonance. The usual hustle and bustle of customers had faded into the night, leaving behind a haunting silence. It was just her and the looming shadows that seemed to stretch out from every corner of the store. Something felt off tonight. The air sparkled with tension as if even the inanimate goods sensed the darkness that seeped from the walls. As she restocked shelves, Lisa noticed the can of soup had shifted places. Confused, she picked it up and placed it back, only for it to mysteriously slide back to its original spot. Her heart began to race, a cold sweat forming on her brow. Probably just fatigue, she thought. But the whispers, those were different. They drifted between the aisles like a ghostly breath, soft yet chilling, making her skin crawl. Whispers of the lost, the fear-stricken. She shook her head. It had to be the exhaustion from working the night shift. But then she saw them, small surveillance cameras, hidden in odd corners, capturing movements in the dim light. Lisa's tension peaked. Something sinister was unfolding right under the harsh glow of the store's security lights. Shadows flitted past her, dark and fleeting. The clock struck midnight, and the energy in the store shifted. The aisles twisted into a nightmarish labyrinth. Every shadow felt like it was closing in. Suddenly, a couple rushed down the aisle, their faces ashen and pale, gripping a wide-eyed child. "You have to help us," they whispered frantically, terror reflected in their eyes. They spoke of employees and customers who had vanished without a trace. "It's a network. Predators use this store to hunt. We're scared for our lives." Their hushed tones dripped with despair, each word sending tremors through Lisa's resolve. She had to protect her family. She had to uncover the truth. Before Lisa could voice her fears to management, they dismissed her, rolling their eyes as if she were an annoyingly tired employee. Isolation clamped down on her. Panic surged. She had no ally, no one to trust in a world that now felt strangled by shadows. Determined to find answers, Lisa tiptoed through aisles, heart pounding, whispering a prayer for safety. The store was alive, and she was merely an intruder. The deeper she delved, the more she confronted the unsettling reality of her community unraveling. Managers exchanging furtive glances, neighbors pocketing items that weren't theirs, the local regulars who seemed all too studied, all too calm. Dark whispers clawed at her sanity, paranoia creeping in as false safety tugged at her mind. Just then, the lights flickered violently, sending a chill down her spine. The shadows twisted, swirling with malice as the whispers crescendoed into an urgent chorus pleading, like ghosts trying to escape. Heavy footsteps echoed behind her, merging with the cacophony of her racing heart. Lisa turned and froze, colliding with the cocktail of horror. An ominous figure, hunched with menace, had appeared in the corner of her eye. Before panic sent her scrambling for the exit, she sensed that danger was everywhere, but the predators lurked closest to home. Just as the weight of realization crashed down upon her, the walls of her world imploded. Was this figure the monster she feared, or could it hide an ally? Desperation seized her. The store that was once a haven now morphed into a tomb, suffocating her hopes. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With her heart thudding violently, Lisa felt the trap closing in, time slipping through her fingers like a fleeting shadow. The aisles seemed to pulse, each flicker and rustle a heartbeat in the dark. She had ventured into the abyss, but would she ever find a way out? The atmosphere thickened, the whispers grew louder, sympathetic and sinister, and in that moment, as she faced the predator, one question loomed larger than the fear itself. Would she be the next person to disappear? Lisa's breath caught in her throat. The very air she inhaled now felt charged with unspeakable dread. The figure shifted in the shadows, and for a fleeting moment she glimpsed its face sunken eyes, skin pale as death, and a smirk that sent icy tendrils down her spine. It felt like it was watching her, studying her every move, making her feel like prey. The tightness in her chest surged. She had to move. She spun on her heel, but the labyrinthine aisles had morphed, twisting and turning like a sinister puzzle. Panic bubbled inside her, and she fought against the overwhelming urge to scream. Instead, she hurried deeper into the store, dodging shelves laden with products that felt increasingly ominous. "Tina! Danny, help!" she murmured under her breath, desperate for anyone to come to her aid. Her mind flickered back to the couple with the child. The horror they had whispered still echoed in her thoughts. A network. Predators. Did she dare believe them? An involuntary shiver ran through her as she considered the unsettling enormity of it all. Just then, scraping echoes filled the silence, a metallic sound punctuated by eerie growls. Her heart raced as she turned around, glancing through the aisles. Nothing was there. Or was it? She strained her ears, hearing whispers drip from the shelves again, a haunting melody that grew louder, intertwining into a cacophony that made her skin prickle. Lisa stumbled upon the clearance section, where unwanted items gathered dust. She spotted a drill. Without thinking, she grabbed it. The weight of the tool felt oddly comforting amidst the chaos, a potential weapon against the darkness stalking her. The cold glint of the metal seemed to call out to her as she scanned her surroundings. An aisle to her left was shrouded in shadow. She crept closer, her breath shallow. Each slow step felt like a countdown toward a revelation that could either save her or seal her fate. What remained of her heart pounded violently as she entered the aisle. It was littered with discarded items, clothes, toys, broken electronics, abandoned moments in time. And then she heard it: laughter. It was disjointed and high-pitched, echoing eerily within the shadows. Lisa's skin prickled. Was it a trap? A decoy? Her instincts screamed to run. Yet she felt compelled to step closer. Overwhelmed by impulse, she darted forward, her hands gripping the drill tightly. The laughter sharpened into an unsettling cackle, morphing into a chorus of voices that sent her mind racing. Help us, they pleaded. Hushed and urgent. Suddenly, the shadows pooled together, forming shapes that surged toward her. Lisa's vision blurred, instinct driving her to scream. The drill felt like a flimsy lifeline, shaking in her hands. But then, a flash of recognition pierced through her fear: the voices, the laughter. She gasped as she stepped back slowly. The newcomers were familiar. People she knew from the neighborhood. Some were regular faces, voices that echoed with shared memories, all hopelessly trapped in the aisles. They turned toward her, their eyes wide with terror, mouths moving but no sounds escaping. "Lisa, you need to help," one of them mouthed, desperation filling the air. "It's not just you, it's us." Then they advanced toward her, hands reaching out, but shadows engulfed them. The darkness swallowed their cries and turned into wails, ringing in her ears. Lisa stood frozen, the realization chilling her bones. This was much larger than her. A network of predators. More? A collective of lost souls, and she was ensnared in this dreadful game. What was she to do? Would she reach back to save them, risking her own soul in the gripping clutches of fear and despair? Or would she break through the darkness, alone and afraid, risking the chance to become a lost memory? A flicker of hope ignited within her, a surge of defiance against the shadowed spirits trapping her. But as she darted in search of a way out, the walls of the store quaked, and the whispers escalated, crescendoing to a maddening peak. Then, a sharp, chilling voice broke through the chaos, echoing through the vast emptiness. "There's no escape for you now." As the store warped around her, she flung herself forward, heart hammering, resolved to find answers, even if it meant facing the predators that lurked within her community. Would she uncover the horrific truth, or would she fall victim to the very monsters she sought to expose? Darkness enveloped Lisa as she pushed deeper into the nightmarish maze of the store. The laughter of the trapped souls echoed behind her, a haunting reminder of the fate that could await her if she faltered. Each aisle twisted and turned, morphing into a grotesque parody of the storefront she once knew, a murky reflection of her worst nightmares. She darted down an aisle marked seasonal, glancing sideways at the tacky decorations that hung like sinister specters. The bright colors had faded to muted, lifeless shades. She could feel eyes on her, lurking, judging, waiting for her to break. The drill felt heavy in her grip, almost reassuring, but she knew it was a fragile defense against whatever was prowling amidst the shelves. A flicker of movement caught her peripheral vision. She turned sharply, raising the drill, heart racing. Nothing. Just empty space and the distant echoes of damned souls. A chill slithered down her back. She was not alone. Moving cautiously, Lisa pressed forward, each step echoing within the vast, empty store, reverberating in her ears like the countdown of a clock nearing its end. The whispers returned, crawling under her skin, a promise to reveal secrets dark, terrible truths that no one should ever uncover. Tina Danny, she whispered, sending a prayer into the abyss, begging for a sign, any sign. But the cold grip of solitude consumed her. The store hummed with an oppressive silence that wrapped around her, stifling and suffocating. Suddenly, a violent crash erupted behind her, sending a jolt through her veins. She spun around, eyes wide and frantically searching the aisles. The noise had triggered a desperate instinct to run, but where? Every path seemed to lead deeper into the horrors she sought to escape. Then she saw them figures moving quickly in the shadows, skirting between the aisles. Their movement was erratic, almost frantic, like wild animals caught in a trap. Her throat constricted. Were they predators or prey? The line blurred, and doubt clawed at her insides. Lisa inhaled sharply, the air tasting of fear and despair. "Help me!" she shouted, the sound slicing through the silence. A heartbeat of stillness followed. Then a collective whisper rose around her, a chilling harmony of fractured voices. "Help us, help us!" Images of the familiar faces surged in her mind, swimming through the fog of panic. They needed help, and somehow, she had to find a way to save them. A surge of determination filled her. She would not let their desperate pleas sway her spirit. But at what cost? Rushing forward, she passed through the ghostly remnants of childhood toys and broken decor, her heart pounding as the darkness thickened around her. Light flickered in the distance, a beacon that called to her amidst the void. As she approached the source, a flicker of hope ignited within her. There it was, a faint glow shining brightly at the end of the aisle. It seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, drawing her closer. But just as she stepped into the light, the floor beneath her trembled. An unearthly roar blasted from somewhere deep within the shadows. The joyous glow dimmed, replaced by an oppressive darkness that stole her breath. Lisa's heart raced, panic setting in hard. Was it hope or a trap? "Don't go!" the whispers warned, morphing into a cacophony that engulfed her. It became chaotic and disorienting. Stopping in her tracks, she hesitated. At that moment, the shadowy figures surged toward her, long arms stretching. Their eyes were filled with unspeakable hunger and insatiable thirst to escape. The darkness commanded their moves, filling the air with a grotesque energy that sent shudders down her spine. Lisa could either press forward into the light, into the unknown, or be consumed by the shadows clawing at her heels. The space warped around her, the pressure building. Screams, laughter, and desperate whispers swirled into an unbearable crescendo as she battled her instincts. Which would it be? She took a shaky breath, her hand tightening on the drill. But then, the shadows twisted violently, and an anguished roar erupted from behind her. "No!" she screamed, terror paralyzing her. In that moment of dread, the swirling darkness seemed to take form, a colossal figure outlined against the dimness. "You should never have come here," it growled, eyes glinting with malice. And just as the figure lunged towards her, everything went black. What depths had she plunged into this time? And would anyone ever emerge from this nightmare? Lisa gasped as she tumbled into the void, the sensation like being pulled through a dark tunnel. It felt endless, her body weightless, the drills slipping from her fingers as shadows swirled around her. For a moment, there was nothing but the rush of cold air, then she landed hard on a solid surface, knocking the wind out of her lungs. She blinked against the residual darkness, struggling to sit up, heart racing. Light flickered back into existence, but it was not the warm glow she'd hoped for. Instead, it was a sickly, fluorescent buzzing, illuminating a vast expanse filled with shelves similar to the aisles above but somehow wrong, grotesque, and warped. The colors were shrill, invasive, almost as if they were screaming for attention. With dread pooling in her stomach, Lisa pushed herself to her feet. The air felt thick, like being underwater, and a rancid odor wafted toward her, reminiscent of rotting eggs and burnt plastic. She noticed the floor a twisted mosaic of shattered tiles and grime, each step echoing painfully in the disorienting silence. Catching her breath, Lisa scanned her surroundings. A nearby shelf leaned precariously, its contents spilling out a jumble of broken toys, mangled stuffed animals with one eye bulging, and games that looked more like nightmares than playthings. The realization struck: this was somehow even worse than before, a deeper level of the twisted realm she was trapped in. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling. Answering silence screamed back. Then a chilling sound broke through, a soft, unsettling rustle, like whispering voices caught in a breeze. Instinctively she turned, half expecting to see the twisted shadows again. Instead, what she faced was more disturbing: a row of faceless mannequins, their limb positions frozen in agony. They watched her, though she knew they could not truly see. The sight chilled her blood, and Lisa backed away, bumping into another shelf. As if called by her fear, the whispers grew louder, many voices overlapping, each sounding desperate and echoing her name. "Lisa, help us!" The ground beneath her trembled slightly, causing the mannequins to shake, their mouths opening in a silent scream. She felt a wave of urgency push her forward. "Get a grip, Lisa!" she muttered to herself, but the panic gnawed at her resolve. She needed to escape this hell. In the distance, she glimpsed movement again, something skirting around the corner of an aisle, darting in and out of view. Against her better judgment, driven by a flicker of hope, she jogged toward it. Each step felt like running into quicksand, like the darkness was trying to pull her back. As she turned the corner, she froze. There it was, crouched low, a figure smaller than the others. It was a child? She dared to hope, but couldn't shake the feeling that it was a cruel joke. The figure turned, and Lisa's heart sank. The child's face was distorted with shadows, a dark void where eyes should be, and an eerie, toothy grin spanned from ear to ear, revealing sharp, jagged teeth. "Help me!" the specter cried, a raspy echo. In horror, she felt as if it were luring her in. Closing the distance, Lisa fought to keep her breath steady, but something visceral warned her not to approach. "Stay back!" she shouted, trying to muster courage, but the child lunged forward, arms outstretched, as if wanting to pull her into the darkness that shrouded its form. "Lisa!" a familiar voice echoed from behind her. It was Danny! Her heart leaped, but she was torn. Was he real, or yet another fabrication of this twisted nightmare? "Danny?" Before she could move, the distorted figure lunged at her, and the room quaked. In that moment, Lisa faced a choice: trust the familiar voice or succumb to the dark embrace of the child. The world spun violently around her, shadows clawing at her sanity, urging her to decide. "What do I do?" The question hung in the air as the light faltered and the laughter of lost souls enveloped her once again, leaving only dread. Could she differentiate between friend and foe? Or was she destined to lose herself forever? The world snapped back into focus as Lisa's heart raced. The child's smile widened, impossibly stretching beyond what should be humanly possible. Every sinew in her body screamed to run, but an invisible force held her in place. From the corner of her eye, she caught Danny's shadow, moving closer. "Lisa! Run!" he shouted, his voice slicing through the oppressive atmosphere, as if echoing from a great distance. Before she could react, the child lunged. Time seemed to stretch, allowing Lisa to register the glitter of malicious glee in its void-like eyes. She finally found her legs, adrenaline surging through her veins, propelling her instinctively away, colliding with another shelf. The mannequins now twisted toward her, limbs jerking as if animated by some unseen conductor. They were coming alive, advancing just at the moment she thought she could escape. Lisa's breathing quickened, panic clawing at her throat. "Danny!" she screeched, spinning around to find him. He was gone. The aisle had swallowed him. The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. Desperation clawed at her throat, a darkness closing in on her surroundings. "Help us!" the voices wailed again, rising like a tidal wave of despair. "What do you want from me?" she screamed, her voice echoing futilely against the sterile walls. The shelves creaked, threatened to topple. The suffocating odor grew stronger, twisting her stomach into knots. As shadows danced closer, Lisa turned again, her intuition screaming for her to find any exit in this sea of madness. She stumbled through the aisle, her heart hammering as the soft rustle of fabric brushed against her neck. She whipped around, finding one of the mannequins now positioned right behind her, its featureless face inches from hers. "Run," it whispered in a voice that sent chills racing down her spine, as it reached out with bony fingers. With a surge of primal instinct, Lisa darted down another aisle, furniture sliding into her path like barriers set to trap her. She could feel something hot on her heels, the pressure of its breath mixing with the rancid air. In the distance, a door flickered to life, dim and beckoning. Was it real? If it was a trap, it was a trap worth risking. Could she trust her instincts? She knew she had to take the chance. "Danny!" she bellowed again, hoping against hope. Would he be there to pull her back into reality? Just as she reached for the door, a force slammed against her from behind. The child, now feverishly laughing, encroached before her, and she felt cold fingertips brush her ankle, a tether to the nightmares surrounding her. "Join us," it murmured, its voice now strangely melodic, wrapping around her conviction like a serpent. In an instant, the laughter rose to an unbearable crescendo, echoes of voices dragging her down. The door loomed ahead, but she hesitated. What if Danny was lost? She couldn't leave him behind, could she? The decision weighed heavily, seconds ticking away like hours. Then came the sudden realization. The child wasn't just a specter, it was every lost soul trapped in this dreadful place. Lisa steeled herself. She couldn't lose anyone else. "I want to join you," she screamed, newfound determination fueling her as she plunged toward the door, slamming it open just as the laughter reached a shrill pitch. On the other side, however, darkness unfurled like a blanket, whispering her name with coaxing malice. But that wasn't all. She felt a cool breeze brush her cheeks. Freedom? Then she heard it again, Danny's voice, fragmented and growing distant. "Lisa! Don't go!" As shadows swirled around her, she was hit with an instinctive push back, fear clawing at her to stay, yet she had to know what lay on the other side. Was it salvation or another nightmare? The air thickened with anticipation, her heart pounding like a drum. Before she could make up her mind, the darkness surged forward. She was on the edge of a choice that would define her fate. Would she face the void or step into the unknown? And even if she chose, would the choice be hers to make? The darkness engulfed her, a blanket of shadow that pulled at her with a chilling yet oddly comforting caress. Lisa hesitated, mind racing as she felt the weight of the decision before her. Should she take that final step into the unknown? What awaited her in this abyss? The voices of the child and the lost souls clawed at her reason, whispering promises of acceptance, of belonging. "Danny!" she cried out again, the name tearing from her throat. A heartbeat later, she felt the presence, the cold, creeping touch intensifying around her. Desperation twisted her insides into knots. Then a flicker, a soft gleam cut through the darkness. It was another door, at the far side of the murky room. Faint shadows moved, beckoning her. "Help us," they called, their voices laced with sorrow. Which way should she go? Her instincts screamed at her to run back, to fight her way against this malevolent force, but Danny's fading voice anchored her. Every step forward felt like a measure against time, the shadowy figures shifting and closing in as she pressed onward. As she reached the door, her hand trembling, another presence slid beside her. "Don't go!" Danny's voice echoed, louder now, more urgent. The chilling chill crawled up her spine as she looked back toward the darkness, vision narrowing on the tendrils that reached for her. Every second felt like a lifetime. "Please don't leave me," his voice cracked, sending a piercing wave of anguish through her. The visions that flooded her mind painted a scenario of pain. Had he fallen into the same trap? Or was it something worse? She squeezed her eyes shut. Danny, where are you? Her heart pounded like a drum, beating against her ribs like an urgent warning. This wasn't just going to be a decision, it was a gamble with everything they had left. With a deep breath, Lisa opened her eyes. The door still stood before her. Behind her, the projections of those lost souls writhed with anticipation, hollow eyes filled with longing. Join us, they chorused, their voices merging into one haunting melody, flowing through the room like a fog. I'm not one of you, she shouted, throwing her emotion into the words. With one final glance back into the darkness, she turned her focus to the door, arm extended, fingers brushing the cold surface. But just as her hand met the doorknob, the floor trembled beneath her. Hands erupted from the ground, cold, skeletal, reaching for her, dragging her toward the depths of despair. She screamed, panic flooding her body as she felt claws grip her ankles. No! Let me go! Rough vibrations coursed through the floor as the darkness twisted, warping her sense of direction. Inside her, fear coiled tighter, raw and frantic. She had to make a choice, she had to break free. With sheer determination, she wrenched her body away from the hands grasping at her, kicking against the weight of the shadows. Danny! She cried once more, an echo of desperation that released something primal within her. In one swift motion, she threw herself through the door. Light blinded her, blurring the edges of her surroundings. The darkness wailed behind her, a chorus of fury as she stumbled into the bright hallway. But the relief lasted only a heartbeat before she saw what lay before her, a polished floor reflective like glass, vivid neon signs illuminating it like a fever dream. And at the end of the hallway, a twisted reflection of her own fear beckoned back to her, standing still yet shuddering with malice and intent. Lisa, the figure, smiled, but in this light, the familiar face morphed, a darker shadow of her friend, a thing of distorted joys and hidden torments. The world spun into chaos, vibrant colors tearing her mind apart. And yet, Danny's voice lingered in her mind, a brittle hope through the overwhelming tide. Help me! As she reeled, the door behind her slammed shut, forcing her to confront the creature that wore her friend's face. Breathless with dread, she was left to wonder, did she truly escape? But was Danny really lost, or was his voice a trap, cleverly hidden among the layers of terror? The moment hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty, and she knew this was just the beginning of a nightmare she could never wake from. Would she face the twisted version of her past, or could she find a way to navigate back into reality? In that instant, the shadows seemed to pulse, promising more horrors to come. The question loomed larger, shrouded in darkness. Would she be strong enough to save him, or would they both be swallowed whole? The creature stood before her, its smile stretching unnaturally wide, revealing rows of teeth that glimmered like sharpened knives. The air thickened, suffocating, wrapping around her throat like a noose. It tilted its head, eyes narrowing into slits that flickered with a menacing glow. Are you ready to play? It hissed, voice dripping with mockery. Lisa's heart raced, hammering against her chest. She felt the echoes of her past, a rush of memories flooding her mind, each one tainted by fear and regret. Danny? She stammered, voice quaking as she took a timid step back. What have you done to him? A lump formed in her throat as the figure chuckled, a sound that twisted her stomach. Oh, he's just fine, it cooed, drawing out the word like honey. Better than he's ever been. He's with us now. The glow in its eyes flared, and for a split second, she thought she saw Danny's face flash in the depths of its being, twisted in agony, then fading into the abyss of shadows. No! Lisa screamed, the sound echoing off the glass-like walls. She turned to run, but the hallway had morphed, stretching endlessly before her, lined with doors that seemed alive, pulsating as though they were breathing. Where will you go, Lisa? The creature taunted, flicking its tongue like a snake. You can't escape what you've become. With every word, it shifted, distorting into shapes that mimicked her own fears: failure, loneliness, the haunting regret of lost moments. Panic clawed through her, sharpening her senses. She needed to think, to find a way out. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply, trying to summon Danny's voice again, hoping it would guide her. "I won't let you have him!" she shouted, opening her eyes defiantly. Suddenly, the neon lights flickered, casting shadows that danced wildly. One door caught her eye. An old wooden door, wearied by time, stood slightly ajar. It felt familiar, its handle smooth under her palm. She could hear whispers coming from within, Danny's voice barely audible, mixed with the echoes of lost souls longing for release. Taking a breath, she pushed against the door and stumbled inside a cramped space filled with clutter. Dust motes swirled in the air, and it smelled musty, like something had been trapped here forever. A flickering bulb overhead illuminated faded photographs stuck to the walls, snapshots of laughter and joy, now smudged and stained. Faces grinned back at her, but their smiles held shadows that mocked her. "Danny?" she called out, her voice shaking. "Are you here?" Silence. Then, a whisper danced through the air, barely a breath. "Help me," her heart sank. "Danny!" she cried, spinning around, feeling the walls close in as panic threatened to swallow her whole. She rushed to the nearest wall, frantically peeling back layers of photographs, searching for a clue, anything that could lead her to him. With every picture she ripped down, whispers grew louder, thrumming in her ears, dragging her deeper into a spiral of despair. "You shouldn't have come here," they said. "You have to join us." Sweat trickled down her back. She turned, fear exploding in her chest. The creature had followed her, slipping through the door with a predatory grace. "You'll never leave!" It smiled, a ghostly hand reaching out to grasp her. Instead of retreating, Lisa straightened, fire igniting within her. "You don't control me!" she shouted, breaking through the suffocating grip of terror. But just as she prepared to fight, the floor trembled again. The old photographs began to flutter wildly, and the shadows around her twisted into writhing shapes. "Don't fight it, Lisa," the creature sneered, voice slipping into the sinister. "You'll soon understand." In that chaos, a sense of urgency seized her. Was Danny trapped in this nightmare too, or was this all a ruse? She had to find him, had to break whatever hold this thing had. The room felt like it was closing in, walls pulsing ominously. Gathering her strength, she threw open the door behind her just in time to see Danny stand in the hallway, disheveled, frightened, but alive. "Lisa!" he shouted, hands reaching out, but the creature lunged, aiming to snatch her back. With no time left, Lisa dove for Danny, hoping to break the grasp of their intertwined fates. "Together!" she screamed as the creature lunged, ready to consume them both. But could their bond be strong enough to shatter the darkness, or would they be lost forever in this twisted game? Lisa and Danny collided, their bodies smashing together as they fell into the cold, fluorescent glow of the hallway beyond the door. It was suddenly bright, too bright, illuminating shadows lurking just at the edge of her periphery. She twisted around, heart pounding in tandem with the thud of her pulse in her ears. "Run!" she urged, adrenaline surging as she took his hand, yanking him toward the safety of the fluorescent abyss, filled with fluorescent light and the haunting echo of their hurried footsteps. Behind them, the creature screeched, a sound so otherworldly that it sent chills skittering across Lisa's skin. "You think you can escape?" Its snarled voice morphing into a twisted melody of laughter that resonated through the hollow corridors. "I'll always find you!" As they sprinted down the endless hall, the air thickened with dread. Each door they passed seemed to breathe, whispering secrets of the lost souls that had ventured this way before. Dark tendrils slithered just out of sight, growing ever closer, as if the very walls themselves were closing in, eager to consume them. "Danny!" she panted, glancing at him. "We need to find a way out. We have to break this, whatever this nightmare is." "I don't know where to go," he stammered, glancing at the walls that whispered and taunted, each echo spiraling deeper into madness. "I can't take it." The fluorescent lights overhead flickered erratically, casting crawling shadows that swept across the ground. Lisa pulled him closer, her grip tightening around his hand, as if that connection could stave off despair. "Listen," she said, desperation crashing over her. We need to trust each other. Look! A door stood ajar at the end of the hallway, brighter somehow, a soft glow illuminating a warmth that felt inviting and dangerous. That one! It's different! Before they could reach it, the air turned icy. The creature barreled down the hall, its figure morphing at the edges, skin rippling like a cloth caught in a windstorm. You cannot escape me, lovebirds! Just as dread pooled in her stomach, the door swung open wide, revealing a room filled with swirling colors and chaotic clamor. They didn't have a choice. Now! Lisa yelled and dashed through the threshold, pulling Danny behind her into the surreal chaos. Inside, gravity seemed to twist. They stumbled into a vivid world where colors pulsated in sync with their heart rates. They found themselves on a great expanse of swirling patterns, reminiscent of Danny's old drawings, yet distorted. What the hell is this? Danny exclaimed, wide-eyed. I don't know, she cried, squinting into a bright flash that erupted suddenly, blinding them momentarily. When the light faded, they found themselves surrounded by familiar faces encased in shimmering bubbles of color, friends, family, and strangers from their past, all trapped in uncertainty. Their features exuded sorrow, and their eyes pleaded for release. Lisa! A voice, Danny's mother, came from a bubble nearby, teetering in despair. Help us! Why are they? Lisa faltered, fear constricting. Why are they all here? It's the creature, Danny panted. It's feeding off their emotions, their lives. The bubble figures began to plead, their voices merging into a cacophony of heartache. Save us! Save us! As their voices crescendoed, the room trembled. Lisa felt a burst of rage flare within her, a fierce protectiveness for those lives, those faces she loved. We won't let it take us. But the walls began to shake, forcing her backward. We have to get out. Danny reached for her, but his eyes flickered with doubt. What if we can't? In an instant, the door they came through slammed shut, sealing them in. The creature's laughter resonated out of the walls, a chilling reminder that they were still not safe. Lisa, look! Danny shouted, pointing. A swirling vortex began to take shape, a tangible passage beckoning with that same light. Together! She cried, voice trembling. We jump, we fight. But as they prepared to leap, shadows encircled them. The creature was there, fingers stretching from the walls, reflecting its eagerness to drag them back into despair. Playtime is far from over, it screeched. Panic surged through Lisa like a boiling tide. Could they break free? Or were they doomed to join the ranks of the lost? Now! She yelled, and they leaped, uncertainty gripping them as they launched into the swirling chaos. But was this leap into salvation or another trap in the endless game? They would soon find out. As they plunged into the vortex, Lisa's stomach twisted unnaturally, the world around them morphing into streaks of blaring colors and nonsensical shapes. Gravity betrayed them, sending them spiraling through an abyss, a whirling maelstrom of sight and sound. Hold on! She shouted, but the words were swallowed by the chaotic tempest. Danny's hand felt slippery, and panic gripped her. What if they were separated? Images of the trapped faces flashed before her, a torrent of anger and determination surged. She squeezed tighter, fighting through the disorientation. Sudden stillness enveloped them. They landed with a hard thud on a concrete floor, nausea spiraling through Lisa's core. She gasped for breath, disoriented. The air felt stale, heavy with a weight that seemed to suffocate them. Where are we? Danny muttered, his voice shaky, the tremor matching Lisa's racing heart. They stood in a dimly lit space, shadows bunching together in the corners like indecipherable threats. It looks like a warehouse? Lisa squinted into the murky gloom, her senses on high alert. Boxes lay scattered everywhere, their contents spilling out in a confounding mess of forgotten toys, discarded clothing, and broken dreams. A low hum vibrated through the air, pulsating with an eerie familiarity, like a distant echo of the creature's mocking laughter. We have to keep going, she urged, the urgency in her voice pressing forward. As they stepped deeper into the warehouse, the shadows around them shifted, alive and breathing. An unsettling chill wrapped around Lisa, clawing at her insides. The lights flickered above them, casting interspersed moments of light that created menacing figures dancing at the edge of her vision. Lisa, I don't like this, Danny whispered, glancing over his shoulder, eyes wide with terror. I can feel it, it's close. Stay close to me. The last thing she wanted was for him to lose hope. They moved through the disarray, dodging half-open boxes, creeping forward into the thickening darkness. Suddenly, a muffled cry echoed down a nearby aisle, sending shards of ice down her spine. Did you hear that? Danny froze, voice low, as if afraid to attract attention. Lisa tread carefully around a toppled crate, peering into the shadows. The sound echoed again, sharp and distinct, a plea for help. There! She caught a glimpse of something, a figure half hidden behind a stack of boxes. Was it a person? Her heart raced as a chill of recognition melted dread into determination. Wait! You! The figure jerked, eyes darting. Lisa squinted, catching sight of familiar features twisted in despair. Danny! It's Jessica! The girl they knew from school stood there, her face pale, panic flooding her eyes. You have to help me! She wailed. What happened? Danny stepped closer, but Lisa felt that pull of danger again. Quickly, Jessica looked around, breathing heavily. There are things here, awful things. They're hunting us, and there the lights flickered once more, plunging them into darkness. And when they returned, Jessica's eyes were wide and glassy, a mix of horror and something dreadful. Get back! She screamed, pointing behind them. Lisa turned, heart seizing in her chest. The shadows merged, forming a figure, and it advanced, its ghastly face emerging from the blackness. You thought you could run? Terrified screams melded with its voice, sound trailing like blood to be drained from their veins. Lisa's instincts kicked in. Run! She pushed Danny away from the looming figure, adrenaline surging as she sprinted down an aisle, dragging him behind. They fled deeper into the warehouse, but the air thickened, shadows grasping at their heels. As they veered into a narrow corridor of boxes, Lisa heard the mocking laughter again, the creature's voice weaving through the maze. They're all mine, with no clear escape in sight. The warehouse closed in on them, vibrating with an otherworldly energy that whispered promises of despair. We have to find a way out, she shouted over the chaos. Now! But even as she spoke, tangible dread filled her, a sense that the world was closing around them. It was a trap, and they were cornered with nowhere left to run. A heavy thud bounced off the walls, shaking the ground beneath them. What the hell was that? Danny gasped, eyes darting around the piles of clutter. I don't know, Lisa breathed, panic buzzing in her chest. But I think it's time to face whatever that is. As the echo faded, a silence filled the air, heavy and foreboding. They exchanged a glance, knowing the creature was only inches away. Could they fight it off, or had they already lost? No more running, Lisa whispered, heart racing. Facing the unknown, they tightened their grip on each other. There was no other choice left. With renewed resolve, they stepped forward into the darkness, and what awaited them there would change everything. The shadows around Lisa and Danny morphed into dark wraiths, swirling with the palpable tension of their collective fear. As they stepped deeper into the dim corridor, a palpable energy pulsed in the air, a warning that the creature was closer than ever, lurking just beyond their line of sight. I'm not afraid of you, Lisa yelled, her voice ringing out defiantly. But fear rattled her, dancing in her stomach like an angry snake. Was she truly prepared to confront the terror that thrived on their anxieties? Danny's gaze darted around, his face pale. Why does it feel like it's in our heads? Suddenly, a low, guttural growl echoed through the aisle, reverberating off the walls like a waiting specter. They edged forward, footsteps soft, echoing, the air alive with anticipation. Then, before them, a familiar door loomed, a weathered portal, its frame infused with an inviting glow. The exhaustion felt like lead in Lisa's limbs. Danny, she whispered, heart racing. We have to go through that door. No, Danny said, his voice trembling. What if it's a trick? It could lead us back into its trap. We can't trust anything here. I can't keep running. Either way, we have to try. In a heartbeat, Lisa grasped the cold handle, yanking the door open. It swung wide, revealing a kaleidoscope of colors beyond, swirling luminosity that promised both danger and hope. For a moment, she hesitated, doubt tugging at her. It's just a game to that thing, Lisa declared, steeling herself. She turned to Danny, urging him forward. Together, we can face it. As they crossed the threshold, darkness swirled, morphing into a place beyond comprehension. Flashes of vivid memories danced around them, snippets of laughter, joy, sorrow, and regret. Each reflection bore familiar faces, people they loved, each trapped in haunting bubbles of despair. Is this what it's feeding on? Danny whispered, eyes wide as he watched their friends appear for fleeting moments, crying for help. Panic surged in his breath. They're lost, how can we save them? Lisa gripped Danny's hand tighter, resolve hardening within. We need to disrupt whatever connection that creature has with their fears. The shadows writhed in acknowledgement of her defiance, but she pushed on. Help us, the trapped voices cried, overlapping in a symphony of sorrow. You have to help us. I will, Lisa shouted, heart pounding with fierce determination. I'll free you all. They sped across the swirling platform toward the heart of the chaotic radiance. For every step, the creature slithered closer, its presence tangible, coiling with malicious intent. The air thickened, each breath weighted with desperation. Lisa! It shrieked, echoing around her. You can't escape the game. Shut up! She yelled, battling the creeping fear. You don't control me or anyone else. Danny's eyes glimmered with determination. What do we do? Trust in ourselves, Lisa said, the moment crystallizing in her mind. Use your anger to fuel our resolve, Danny. Together, they reached the center, rippling emotion gathering around them. The ground thudded beneath their feet, resonance vibrating with their collective fury. You will not have them! Lisa screamed into the void, drawing from the anguish of their friends and family, channeling it into a force unbreakable. And just as they felt the shadows pulling them, Lisa clutched Danny tightly, arms outstretched. Time to fight back. With one final surge of defiance, they plunged into the center of the radiant vortex that swirled with desperation and hope, a whirlpool of light that surged into an explosion of clarity. The shadows recoiled, twisting away in silent agony as it met their unified strength. The creature bellowed, rage and terror mingling in chilling harmony. You think you can defeat me? Yes. They shouted in unison, their voices merging with the cries of the trapped souls. Vibrant light overwhelmed the darkness, searing through it, and in that moment, the barriers began to break. Euphoria mixed with power as the shadows fell back, shriveling before the onslaught of their conviction. Do it! Save them! Danny urged, heart racing with newfound vitality. And as they slammed their hands together, the vortex exploded outward, streams of light cascading into the darkness, freeing the souls trapped in sorrow. Friends, family, and loved ones broke free from their bindings, rushing into the light with joy, iridescent echoes resonating purity and freedom. In that blinding fury, Lisa felt Danny's grip solid and secure. They were breaking the chains that bound not just themselves, but everyone they loved. We can do this! She shouted, hope burning bright within her. Together! Danny roared, and as one, they thrust through the heart of the storm. With a final explosion, the world disintegrated around them, shadows fleeing, darkness retreating. They'd done it. Together, they lit the path and reclaimed their freedom at last, their laughter cascading across the remnants of the monstrous realm. As everything came into focus again, they found themselves standing once more in the familiar sight of the Walmart entrance, fluorescent lights buzzing peacefully above them. The air felt different, lighter, perhaps, despite the weight of their memories. Lisa looked around, heart warm with triumph. We made it, she gasped, relief flooding her system. But as she turned to Danny, she felt the pang of loss for those they had left behind. Would the others remember? Would the creature reach back to make them suffer again? Let us go, Danny whispered, pulling her into an embrace. Each heartbeat resonated with the strength of survival, declaiming their victory over doubt and darkness. "We'll figure this out together." "Together," Lisa echoed, that fiery bond between them unshakable. They walked toward the exit, hand in hand, ready to face whatever lay beyond those doors. As they stepped outside, the daylight gleamed bright and blinding. They paused, looking back at the store. The shadows had been severed, but echoes lingered, the memories mixed within the promise of dawn. They took a breath, the freshness of freedom invigorating as they headed toward a new horizon, ready to embrace the endless possibilities ahead. But deep within the recesses of the void, the creature slumbered, plotting, waiting for the moment to strike back. "Welcome back," a cold whisper curled through the air. But they wouldn't give in. Not now, not ever. And as Lisa and Danny walked forward, the challenge continued, but they were ready, their spirits ignited with hope, a powerful light against the encroaching dark. But that was the moment you decided. If you, the true believers, want to join us on this journey filled with even more surprises and mysteries, you need to subscribe now. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support for the stories ahead. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this thrilling conclusion. Let's light up the darkness together.